Hey everybody, James Malfetus here. I'm really excited about this one. This is going to be one of the most amazing programs I think that we've ever put together. As you're going to see, it combines a couple of really exciting things. So I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes just for everybody to get on, because it's kind of important that we get as many folks on as we can. We had a number of registrations, so I just want to let everybody know. Can I please ask those of you that are currently logged in if you can hear me? It's kind of important that I know. So if you can just get into the chat and let me know if you can hear me, that everything is good. Because I have been known to do webinars in the past and speak to no one in particular. Michiel, thank you very much. So we know he is in. I'm hoping there's more of you that are in that can actually hear me. If you can just type into the chat. There we go, Delvane. Okay, Nima, Andre. All right, excellent. So we're up and running, which is perfect. That's exactly where we want to be. Great, fantastic. All right, so let me dive right in as you guys continue, and thanks for all the chats that you guys are putting in at the moment. So very briefly, let me introduce you to the LinkedIn Referral Network Accelerator. And as I said, this is the first time that we're doing this. We've put a lot of thought and effort into this, and so we're quite excited to get this done with you guys. And it's really all about combining the power of LinkedIn and referral marketing. And I think what you're going to find is quite a unique way. And so what today is all about is just like generating clients. We actually want to end up at the end of today with appointments and referrals for life. So it's a little bit different to what we might ordinarily be used to. So let me dive in to the rest of the presentation and show you. So here's what to expect today, right? So we actually, honestly, we're focusing on leads and clients. Like that's really the end goal. But we're going to do this from two perspectives. And the great thing about the process today is you can get to choose, right? You may like one of them, you might like both of them. So you can come into the program at the end should you be interested in generating leads from LinkedIn, or if you're interested in just expanding your referral network, and we're going to talk a lot about that. It might be a bit different to the way you're used to doing referrals, but my best advice is obviously we want to combine both of these together to create something extremely powerful. So the one thing I just want to tell you, there's nothing for sale today. So you cannot give me money. I will not. You can't change money for anything. So you might as well just sit back and enjoy. The purpose of today really is hopefully to broaden your horizons with what's possible, and then to show you what we've put together in order to really help all of us essentially leverage one another, for want of a better description. And as I said, you can do that in one of two ways, and we'll speak about that. And then at the end of this, although I said you can't give me money, there is a program, but the program is for us to work together. It's completely free, and it'll be based on the principles that we talk about today. So honestly, when you get to the end, if you like it, then join the program. If it's not for you, you know what, that's perfectly fine. No problem there. So let's dive in. Now, before we do this, I would like to do a poll. Okay, so this is an anonymous poll. So I'm going to ask everybody to vote. We've got about 60 people in the chat at the moment. So we had about 500 registrations for this webinar. A replay will go out, I suppose, and we'll get a few more. But I need everybody that is on the webinar to vote. And let me tell you what the question here is, all right? And I need you guys to be completely honest. It's an anonymous poll, so nobody knows who's who. And I'm going to ask you a question, all right? And I'm going to hold you all to this. So you got to answer the question honestly. So I want to know, and most of you know me. Most of you are, if not all of you, are first level connections of mine. Some of you have worked with me, some of you haven't. So if I ask you a question now, I'm going to say to you, would you be prepared, please, to give me 3 referrals? So I'd like your top 3 clients. I'd like to, chat to them and see if I can help them to generate leads on LinkedIn. So the question is very simple, right? And I need everybody to vote. Will you? I'm asking you now, and if you will, then we'll touch base at the end, and you can send me the names. Will you refer your top 3 clients to me right now, at this very point in time? The answer is either yes, I will, or no, not quite yet. And the other answer might be maybe. Okay, so go ahead. You guys should be seeing the poll. around about now. Okay, so I've published the poll. So if you guys would go and do me the favor of just voting on that poll, and vote honestly, right? You got to vote the way that that you actually see it. So it's very important that you do that. Let's see how we're going. Can't quite see how many folks we've got, but you guys are doing well. The voting is going quite nicely. All right, interesting results. All right. I'll end the poll now. I think a lot of you have voted. Oh, no, wait, there's still some more going on. Calm, James. I'm so excited about this whole thing. I can't contain myself. Let me just give you a couple more minutes. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the poll now at this point, and I'm going to show you the results. Right. So as you can see, for 14%, only 14% of you said yes. Okay. And bearing in mind that some of you I know really well, some of you I don't know all that well, but you can see the overwhelming majority, 57% said no. Okay. And then there's quite a number of you on the fence at 28%. But at this point in time, as you can see, the overwhelming majority for this whole process is in fact no. So that's where we at as far as the poll is concerned. So we're going to come back to that a little bit later on, right? Because there was obviously a lot of interest, and we're going to run a different poll a little bit later. But very important just to set the scene, right? Now this actually allows us to quite happily move into the rest of the session. So in order for me to really explain everything, I need to tell some of you. A lot of you will know this, but a lot of you don't. I need to tell you a little story about myself and how I actually got into what I'm doing. So long story short, a lot of you will know that I deal primarily with accountants and financial advisors, and certainly have for the longest time. And the reason is because I'm an accountant, or a reformed accountant, for want of a better description. So I was in a situation where I was running an accounting practice. We had 4 partners, and the practice had gone quite well, and then we hit a little bit of a road bump, quite a big road bump actually, in the last recession, right? So that 2008 recession really affected us quite badly, and I got into a situation where we'd lost major clients, and being accountants, like, client acquisition is not really our thing, and we were just unable to replace the clients that we had lost. And you probably all know that when you're in a when you're in a management or an ownership position, you always pay the staff first. So I actually went through a patch where I didn't get paid a salary for 8 straight months, and that's pretty hard, right? You're going to go through a process where you're not getting paid a salary for 8 months. Eventually, something's got to give, and with a very heavy heart, I walked away from a practice that I'd spent 10 years building, but it was just the right thing to do. And at the time, I had seen a quote from Bill Gates. And Bill said that if your business is not online, you'll be out of business. So because Bill said so, it had to be so. And so what I did with that knowledge is I started to learn about online marketing. And being an accountant, I discovered this idea of sales funnels, which was really an interesting idea for me. So what had happened in leading up to that discovery was I had spent literally probably about 10 hours a day, 7 days a week for 2 years. Because what happened was I started learning about online marketing, and then I realized I needed to learn something more, and then I learned a new thing, and then I needed something more. And I kept learning and learning and learning. And then eventually after 2 years, I got so frustrated because I had all this knowledge and I didn't really know how to apply it. So I was lucky. I found myself a mentor who showed me what was going on, and then I wrote this book on sales funnels. So the discovery I made was so exciting for me because, as an accountant, I was that guy that when you want something, you tell me. So you tell me you want it, you give me a date, and it will be there on your desk. You don't need to come and talk to me. You don't need to check on me. It will just be there. So I wasn't Mr. Social, exactly, right? And I love this idea that you could build an online sales funnel. You could get people to go into this funnel, give you money, not have to speak to them. Right? Maybe after they give you money, then you can speak to them, and then you deliver the product, right? So I thought this was the most fantastic thing that had ever been invented, and so I became a sales funnel expert. And you can see in the middle here, I published this book in the middle, this one here called Infinite Sales Funnels. And at this time I was craving human interaction. Like, you can only talk to yourself. Remember COVID, right? But I was like self-imposed COVID. You can only talk to yourself and watch videos till 2 a.m. for so long. Then you really need to speak to other people. And so I figured, okay, it's time for me now that I've got the sales funnel knowledge. Now I want to go and spread that word, and I want to go. And I thought to myself, well, let me teach my fellow accountants, right? Because if I didn't know how to get clients, good probability they don't know how to get clients either. And so I figured out I would do that. And so now I had this conundrum in my head, right? I've got all this new knowledge, and I'm now about to go into a business I've never been into before. It's completely new. So what I did was I approached all of the CPD providers. So for those of you that don't know, everybody that's a professional, that's got a professional qualification, has got to put in a certain amount of hours every single year, to keep their knowledge up to date, because things change, right? So that's called CPD, or continual professional development. And so I went through the CPD channels, and I obviously the people that were already dealing with accountants, and I said, hey, I've got this book. Do you want me to come and teach people about sales funnels? And of course, from a personal perspective, my life was in tatters, as I've just explained to you. But from a professional standpoint, I was ahead of the curve, right? It wasn't because I was brilliant. It was just because I just developed to this point, and this happens to be the product I've created. So I'm now the only guy in town who has any accounting knowledge that's now teaching sales funnels to accountants. So we do the first webinar, and it turns out it's just before the practice management convention, and we get an astounding 160 people on the webinar. It's fantastic, right? So I teach the system that's in the book on the sales funnels, and then what I do is I make them an offer at the end, right? So the offer is 500 Rand, and for that you can have an hour of my time for a consultation. You'll get a copy of the book, obviously, and some videos, right? So as I'm going through this process, what I then do is I go and I look at my PayPal account, and it's gone ballistic. I close 40 out of 160 people I've never met before. It was like this. It was the most insane day of my life. I don't even know how to describe it to you. Now, I would love to tell you that has happened since then, but it hasn't. This was one of those amazing once in a lifetime things that happen where every star possible aligns, and it just plain worked. Okay, so it was phenomenal. And so now I'm now a sales funnel guy, right? And so I'm helping accountants and financial advisors, because quite a lot of financial advisors are accountants. I didn't realize that until then, but that's what happened. And so I really devoted, the rest of my time to that. And so as I'm going through this, and I'm dealing with people, I now understand I've booked 70 consultations, right? And I get to the third one, and I realize, my sales funnel talks about how to sell products. Everybody here is selling services. So I had to pivot fairly quickly. And then at the end, I took all of those 70 consultations, and we rewrote this book. So we rewrote the book on the Infinite Sales Funnel book, and we created this one, Accounting Clients on Tap, which was now very specifically for my industry, right, for the financial industry, and that became an international bestseller. For obvious reasons, because I'm the only guy in town. So that worked out quite well. And honestly, for the longest time, that's really what I did, is I helped accountants and financial advisors predominantly, and then I started to deal with other professionals to implement these online sales funnels to generate leads, right? But it was a hard gig. It really was. And then what happened is LinkedIn came along, and LinkedIn completely changed the ballpark for me. In fact, I had no intention whatsoever to be involved in LinkedIn. It really wasn't a big issue in my life. Didn't care. But you'll know, right, as a professional, when you go and you Google somebody, like maybe it's a potential prospect, or you Googling somebody to work with them, it's always the LinkedIn profile that comes up in the first result, right? Here's an example of mine. So you can see when I Googled myself, it wasn't my books or my courses or my Facebook page or my website that came up in the first position. It's the LinkedIn profile. And you will find that happens probably 99% of the time, right? And there's a very good reason for that. And that is because of that. That's the way that the LinkedIn algorithm is created, right? But there is a problem with this, okay? And it's called social stupidity. So you see that guy over there, That poor oak over there, he got himself onto social media, and I don't know what it is, but I think it's when people get onto social media, there's this invisible creature that sucks the brain out of people's heads, and then they look like that, and we call this social stupidity. Because what they do is they Google you, and then when they look at your profile, if your profile is not great, and particularly if it's a little bit crappy, they look at it and then they judge. They say, "Oh, your profile is terrible, therefore you must be a terrible accountant, financial advisor, service provider." It's like, excuse me? No. So, of course, I did not believe this. I refused to believe this. And for about a year, I fought this because, like, we cannot be that stupid, can we? Actually, we can. So let me show you how I found this out. So remember, I'm building these sales funnels for people. So I've got one of my accounting clients. He phones me up the one day. He says, "Listen," he says, "that sales funnel thing is going fine." He said, "But there's a problem." He says, I'm paying for a listing in a directory, and they tell me that I keep getting hits on my directory, but my phone is not ringing. What is going on?" I'm like, "Okay, I don't know. Let's have a look." So we go to the directory and we have a look at the directory. And what we find is that there's two links, right? So the first link goes to his website. Now we know this is good because we fixed the website and we built the funnel. That's all good. The second link's to his LinkedIn profile, right? Which is abysmal. Let's just say that it wasn't a good profile. And so I said to him, "Well, I think we should fix the profile," which we then did. So we go ahead, we fix the profile, we update it. And I have to be honest with you, I wasn't actually a LinkedIn profile expert at this point. I sort of just did some cursory stuff because, well, what was I going to tell him? Like, that's the only answer that looked logical. Turns out the next week, the phone starts to ring. And I'm like, "No way, that's not possible." But the phone continues to ring. So now it's occurred to me what's just happened. And I'm starting to panic, right? And I'm starting to panic. So I phone up all my clients and I say to them, "Listen, we have to fix your LinkedIn profile." So we fixed the LinkedIn profile for those that would listen. And every single one of those people got a bump in conversions, right? This is really important. And what I realized is this, right? That social stupidity is actually costing you clients. Because not only, right, when somebody Googles you, do they see your profile and then they judge. Nobody's going to phone you up and say, "Hey, listen, your profile might need a bit of work. Perhaps you should fix it." No, they just think you're an idiot. They bounce away. They go to somebody else and you'll never see them again. And so what's happening is you're losing clients. And the worst part is you do not even know that. Okay. What I've just said to you might be the most important thing you learn on this webinar today. Right? If you do nothing else after this, and you just say, "Oh my goodness, I need to fix my profile," and you go do that, right? You will have saved yourself clients in the future. So it'll make you money in the sense that you'll stop losing money. So I promise you, if your profile is not good, you are losing clients. So please take that as gospel and run with that, right? So you want to fix your profile. Now, here's the good news. When you fix your profile, it is so simple to generate leads on LinkedIn. Like, even if you are not marketing inclined, if you're not a great marketer, if you don't feel comfortable selling, it's like so simple, right? Because the profile actually does all of the heavy lifting for you. So let's assume we've fixed the profile, right? The next thing you're going to do, number 2 over here, is all you have to do is send 100 connection requests to the ideal people that are going to become your clients on LinkedIn every single week, because that's what LinkedIn allows you to do. And then you see whoever responds, and based on those responses, you book meetings and then you sign clients. Like, honestly, it is that simple, right? So let's just talk about this quickly in a little bit more detail. So when it comes to creating the profile, there's a couple of things that are really, really important, right, for you to understand. The first thing is that you want to have a niche. Now, there's a lot that is said about niches, and I get a lot of people telling me, "Oh, I don't want to have a niche because then I restrict, my sales to certain people." Like, that's all a lot of nonsense. A niche is a good thing. What a niche is, just to kind of give you a broad perspective, a niche is just a grouping of people that have got very similar characteristics, right, that make them very likely to buy your product or service. Like, That's it in a nutshell. So it's like when you've got a product or service, and you're going to think, well, what's the problem I solve? And then you say to yourself, okay, well, who's going to, who's going to buy that? That's your niche, right? So I know as accountants and financial advisors and lawyers and whoever else is on here, I know you can sell stuff to everybody, right? And you should sell stuff to everybody. But if you are going to market yourself and you are going to go to the trouble of building a system and going out there and putting effort into marketing people, you might as well give yourself the best chance of success. And I promise you, marketing to everyone under the sun is not it, right? So the first thing is pick that niche of people. So for me, as a lot of you will know, my primary niche is accountants and financial advisors, right? It's not all accountants, by the way. It's accountants in public practice. So it's accountants that have the responsibility of generating clients. Financial advisors basically run their own business, so they have the responsibility of generating clients, right? So I've picked a niche based on industry. A lot of you might not do that. A lot of you, the niche might be broader. So if I speak to accountants and financial advisors, for example, they'll say, we want to deal with high net worth individuals or small business owners, right? So that also is potentially a niche, right? So there's different ways to do it, right? Just pick that group of people that it makes sense for you. And how do you do that? As we've said, you see the second piece there. Well, what problem do you solve? All right. If you are in business, you solve a problem. Like, otherwise, you won't be in business, right? People only pay you money because you solve a problem. So what's the problem? So find the biggest problem you solve, work out, okay, who's the best niche, and you take those two things, and now you build your profile around that, because your profile is going to be a sales page. So you position your profile or your sales page to solve the biggest problem for that specific person. Okay. In a nutshell, that's it. So when you've done that, now you're actually in a really good position, because now you can get to the next piece, right? So the next piece of this is, okay, now we want to connect. So we send these 100 connection requests a week. Guess what's going to happen? Right? When you do this right, because now you've got a good profile, you're going to get, on average, between 30 and 60% of those people to accept your connection request. Okay? Now, remember, these are going to be people that you have handpicked because you've identified a niche. So you don't send connection requests to anybody. You send it to those very people that you designed the profile for. So now what's going to happen is you will get somewhere between 130 to 260 new connections, some of you even more, right? And these are now people that you've handpicked, essentially. And guess what? When you send them these messages, when you send a connection request to somebody, right? Think about what you do when you get a connection request. You probably say, I wonder who this person who's sending me a connection request is. Let me go and look at their profile, right? Anybody that's going to become a client of yours, I promise you that's what they're doing. So they're going to pop over, they go back to your profile, have a look at your profile. If they like it, then they come back and they accept the connection request, and they send you a message. So there's the response. And guess what? About 1 to 3%, right, in this very basic rudimentary system that I'm showing you here, of those people, right, will actually want to have a meeting with you. Because there's always a certain amount of people, it doesn't matter what industry or niche you're in, that are actually looking for the service that you provide at that point in time. It doesn't matter whether it's accounting services, financial services, legal services, LinkedIn services, hotels, hot dogs, cars. There's always 1 to 3% looking, right? So it's a numbers game. So if you are consistent, you will book realistically 1 to 2 appointments a week by doing this. Okay. Enough on this, but honestly, that is how easy it is to book a system. So a lot of it depends on getting the profile right, as we've said. So let's park LinkedIn for a second, right? If you like this, we're going to show you in the program how to do this, which is fantastic. But let's move to the next part, right? So we've handled part 1 of today. We've spoken about LinkedIn. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about referrals. So as you know, I coach people to generate leads and clients. And so my entire world revolves around speaking to people. Every day, my calendar is booked. I'm either coaching people where I'm fulfilling what I do, or I'm speaking to prospects that come through that LinkedIn system that I showed you just a moment ago. Like every single one of my leads and clients comes through that system I showed you. So obviously, as I'm speaking to people to assess whether I can help them, I ask them a question. So the question I ask everybody is, how do you get leads and clients at the moment? I ask every single person that question. All right. And I get all sorts of answers, as you can imagine. But I get one answer from everybody. Every single person I ever speak to, without exception. Let me say that again, 100%. Everyone, okay, in case that wasn't clear, says to me, I get leads and clients from referrals. Every single one of them. Okay. Some of them, that is the only way they get clients. Right? The only way. A lot of them, it's the main way. Right? And particularly for professions that are not very aggressive, like the accountants, for example. They're quite a passive group of people. Same with the lawyers. And there's a lot of other people that just feel a little bit uncomfortable. But referrals is a great way, right? And obviously, we know I don't have to give you all the statistics on referrals. You'll see I don't have a slide for that. You know referrals are good, right? Because you do it in your business. And the fact of the matter is, where do we get most of our referrals? Right? It's generally from our clients. And it makes sense, right? You do some good work for a client. They see the work. They understand that they can trust you. If they then somehow notice that somebody else that they know needs the solution that you provide, then they have no worries because they feel very comfortable in terms of referring you, right? So that's what happens with that referral over there. Now, the thing with referrals, though, for us is we know that it's one of the most awesome and best ways to grow the business, but it's kind of slow, right? It's very slow, and and that's the tortoise. Obviously, that's slow. The other thing down here, this little graph, is it's unpredictable. So, sometimes it can be flowing like crazy, and then other times it just like dries up for months. So it's kind of tough to build a sustainable long-term business on this. And if you're an ambitious entrepreneur and you want to grow your business, this is probably not the best way to grow it. Again, referrals in this case, because you're relying on clients, might be one of the things you do, but it's probably not the most effective way to do it. So what a lot of people do then is they join networking groups, right? And it's great. I mean, we've all done it at some point. BNI, Business Networking International, is probably the biggest of its type, and they've done an amazing job in terms of turning that into a business, right? But one of the issues that we often have when we go to these networking events is that we don't always have the right person in the room. So we might go to a networking event and think about, most of us on this call are going to be in the B2B, the business to business space. So our products and services get sold to another business, whereas a lot of people at these networking events, for example, will sell to consumers. So you can see there's a little bit of a mismatch there. So oftentimes when you go to these events and you spend time there, a lot of people I know feel quite frustrated because they say, I spend so much time and like I just don't get any referrals. It's just like it's the wrong people. They're not my people. I don't always relate, just from the perspective of communicating and speaking to people. And, we just don't really see the world the same way. And so, I'm just not getting great referrals. And, even with the client base that I have, it's tough for me to refer, to other people. So that's a problem, having the wrong people in the room. We're going to talk to you a little bit how we're going to solve that a little bit later. The other problem, of course, with this idea of these groups is that generally there's a cost to it, and rightly so. There should be a cost, right? Because these groups do provide a very, very good service. So they provide a platform for people to come together. And most of the groups that I see are actually offline groups. So this is where people will physically congregate in a room together, have coffee, shake a hand, and they tend to do that within small pockets of geographic locations, so little areas where obviously they can refer each clients to each other, within that space. That works quite well. But there is a cost, and some people can't afford the cost. And the biggest cost often is time. Right. So in those instances where you need to get in a car and go and drive somewhere, obviously there's travel time you've got to take into account, plus obviously the time that you're investing in actually sitting in, on one of those meetings. So that can often be quite an issue for people. The next thing, as we see here, 1 second. The next thing is this, and this is a big one. All right. Is that there's this discomfort that people have when it comes to making a referral, right? And it's not surprising. So let me give you the statistics on this. And again, these are very broad, so don't take this too much to heart. But in our businesses, even with our own clients, right, 20% of people are natural referrers. Like, you did them a solid, they love what you did, they will tell other people. They're your evangelist, they will spread the word. They are the best people in the world to have, right? But there's another 20%, right, where you did an amazing job, and they will tell you to your face that you did an amazing job, but they don't refer. There's nothing you can do to change their mind, right? It's not your fault. They're just not going to do it. And then there's 60% of people that can be persuaded. And in many cases, actually, all that needs to happen is you just need to ask them. But a lot of us feel uncomfortable, right? But there's other reasons for this discomfort, because this reputational risk is like, well, what happens if I refer you and you screw up? Then my client's going to think that I'm an idiot, and they're going to ask me why I referred this idiot to them, and you can see where this is going, right? We all know this is how we feel. So there's a ton of discomfort in this process of referring. The other thing that you need to realize is that when you ask someone for a referral, okay, and think about it the other way, when somebody asks you, actually, the truth of the matter is we're actually quite happy to refer, because humans actually by nature are quite good creatures. We're very community driven, and we would actually happily refer. But when you ask somebody to refer a client, you actually put amazing stress on them, believe it or not, because now they have to make a decision, and they can get this wrong, and now they can look like an idiot, and that nobody wants to do that, right? We all have a bit of an ego, so we're trying to protect that. So think about this. Most people I know really struggle to enunciate very clearly what they do and who they do it for. So now you want somebody to refer you when sometimes you're not even exactly 100% clear how you describe what you do and who you do it for. So now this poor person, she's thinking to herself, okay, well, what exactly is it they do? Do I know exactly? All right. And maybe I do. And now I've got to say, all right, who do I know that really needs that? And then, are you going to look after that person? Because, I can't just give you my best client. You might be a horrible person. You might screw it up. You might be completely useless at what you do. So you see, there's all these problems that are at play with referrals. And that's why I think a lot of us are actually scared to ask for them, right? Because of all these issues that are going on. So how do we get rid of all of these issues, right? We want to transcend this, because we know that referrals are probably the most valuable way to get new clients. And as somebody that teaches LinkedIn for a living, that's a heck of an admission, right? LinkedIn's the second best way, for the record, right? So just one last thing before I move on to the solution. With clients as well, while it's a really good way to get referrals, those referrals tend to be short-lived, because a lot of times it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So if you're dealing with a client at the time, you might get referrals, or the client gives you the referrals and they kind of get used up, and then they sort of forget, and then it kind of dies down. So it's the sort of thing that tends to work for a while, and then it fizzles out. So while it's very, very good, again, it just comes back to that slow and unpredictable, and eventually it kind of dies. So what is the solution? Okay. The solution I want to introduce you today is a thing called strategic partners. I am a really, really big fan of strategic partners, and it does amazing things for you. So what on earth is a strategic partner? Well, strategic partners, right, are people that serve the same type of client base as you do, but they sell them something different. Okay? They'll sell them a different product, a different service, but it's the same group of people. Now, when you think about that, and you do that very, very purposefully, that changes the ballpark for you immensely. So let me show you what I mean. Okay? So looking here, I want to show you what the $1 million question is. Okay? The $1 million question, if you're going to write anything down from today, this is the thing you write down. Okay? The $1 million question is this. You ask yourself, who has access to my ideal clients? All right? That's the first part of the question. And then the second part of the question is, okay, how do I get them to give access to me? Let's do that again. Who has access to my ideal client? That's the first part of the question. And how do I get them to give access to me? So I told you, big story to start this today. And the big story was for this moment, actually. So remember, I've just moved out of accounting. I've had my head in the books. I've been trying a few things. I'm now 2.5 years into a process. I think I know what I'm doing, but I've got no clients. I'm starting again, right? I've also realized I screwed up a couple of things, and now I've chosen a niche, and I've decided purposefully to go and speak to accountants. So I ask myself the $1 million question. I say, who has access to my ideal client? Now, there's a lot of these people, right, that have access to accountants. So people that publish magazines and books for accountants, they've got access. There's people who've got blogs that are geared towards accountants. They've got access. There's people that sell products and services to accountants. They've got access. There's groups, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups. There's YouTube videos, people who run channels relating to that, right? There are people that supply services to accountants. So think about any of those things. I could have approached any of those people because they are strategic partners, right? I'm selling them client acquisition services. They're selling them all sorts of other things. They're selling them insurance. They're selling them software. They're selling them compliance. Understand, this is where this is going. So I look at this and I choose this group, CPD providers, right? Because I think to myself, okay, that's the group of easy entry for me, lowest resistance for me, and I can probably get the biggest bang for my buck there. So now I've ticked the first part of the question, who has access, right? But remember, I brainstormed this entire list, and then I chose this one. And then the second part, the second question is, how do I get them to give access to me? Well, this one was actually not too difficult at this time, because now I said, okay, well, I've just written a book. I'm the only gig in town. I know that I have value. So you know what? I'll do an exclusive webinar for them. So what I did was, I remember I told you this was before the practice management convention. And so what they were trying to do, the organizers, is they wanted to get more people into to pay for the convention, right? So we did this before the convention. It was like a pre-launch. So what they did is they got to say, listen, if you buy a ticket, you can come to this webinar for free. And because it was so valuable to everybody because no one had seen it before, they sold a whole bunch of tickets. I got 160 accountants in a room. That, do you know how much it would have cost me to try to get 160 accountants from scratch in a room at that point in my career? Even at this point, like imagine if you're advertising, that's tens of thousands of rands worth of advertising to do that, right? So that's the value to me. I just get presented with a room full of my ideal clients, right? And then I teach those people, those ideal clients, something of great value, so they get to take something amazing away. And then, of course, we make the offer. And as you saw, this turned out probably to be my best strategic partnership initiative ever, where I ended up getting 40 clients and launching a career because I asked the $1 million question. Okay, now, guys, that is the power of strategic partners. Okay. And the real power with strategic partners, if you think about it, is they're all business orientated. They do what you do, right? There's a client base that is common. We all care passionately about that client base to the same degree as everybody else, and we look after them. This is the idea, but we sell them something different. So you know what happens when somebody comes to an accountant and says, hey, I need a financial advisor to help me with XYZ. The accountant cannot say, I don't know. That's the wrong answer. The accountant wants to help his client. So he wants to refer that client to a financial advisor. So he needs somebody that he knows, likes, and trusts. If he's got somebody on his books, guess what? That referral gets made. It's effortless. Now, if we build something purposefully and we get a bunch of strategic partners in the room, and we know we are all there for the same reason, right? That we are going to refer our clients to one another, provided that we know, like, and trust each other. That's obviously important, and we saw that from the poll initially, right? Provided that that's the case, this should be a no-brainer. This takes away that need for us to ask for referrals, the thing that most of us are uncomfortable with, because we're working with a group of people where we as part of this program, the goal is that we refer to each other. This is the idea, and it makes sense, right? So That being said, let me introduce you to the LinkedIn Referral Network Accelerator. So the program that we've put together to put all of this together. So now that you understand the background and the thinking behind how we put this together, as you know, for me, most of my network consists of accountants and financial advisors, right? And recently, I've connected with quite a bunch of attorneys as well, because I realize that those three people are kind of key to servicing small and medium-sized enterprises. Then over the last while, I've actually reached out to quite a number of people in different professions that have nothing to do with those three, that are all business orientated and dealing with SMEs. So remember that program of the wrong people in the room. I'm trying to write that here, where we get the people in the room that are all very focused and dedicated on the SME market, so that we're all actually in a position, because we're dealing with clients all the time, where there's great access and there's great possibility and probability for us, provided we like each other, to actually refer clients. Right. So we've taken away one of the biggest impediments here. Also, at the moment, because this is going to be online, and because LinkedIn is very key to it, clearly we're looking for people that are working in the business to business space, rather selling to businesses than consumers, and people whose clients are on LinkedIn. Okay, so that's the philosophy here. That is how we have tried to put this together. And in terms of the people that have been invited to this webinar, they are all in that category, right? Because I did that very purposefully for this very moment. And that's the idea. So how will this work, right? Number one, we're going to teach you this system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the LinkedIn training as the basis to train you. And while we're doing that, I'm going to show you in a minute how we're going to accelerate this idea of building the partnerships. So at the end, right, you will know how to do this. So we'll have a great profile. We'll show you some basic connection strategies and messages, and we'll show you how to send and to convert those messages into responses and into meetings, because I want you to be in a position where you can book 1 or 2 meetings a week. Very, very simply, right? So if you do nothing else, that's what you'll get out of this. Okay. However, that being said, the way that we will deliver the program is this. So let's assume that we've got all of these different people here. So we've got an accountant and a financial advisor and a lawyer and a long-term insurance broker and a financier and a bond originator and a business broker and right? There could be all sorts of different people, but we've got a bunch of different people in the room here, right? And so you heard me a little bit earlier harping on about who is your ideal client. Let's just use that as an example. So if I ask the majority of people, who's your ideal client, right? There's very few of them that can actually tell you. Right? They don't know. And so it's a little bit of a problem, because as we said, if they don't know, how are we going to refer? So how this would work is I would get into the room. So now we're all sitting in a Zoom room together, right? And then I say, all right, guys, who's your ideal client? And then I go and I teach a little piece on how to do this, right? Because it's part of the system. I'll teach you a little piece. Then what we do is we put you into breakout rooms, right? So now here you get you get a few minutes to network. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm Sue. Blah blah blah. What do you do? You're okay, cool. Now do the damn thing I just taught you. Right? So you got to do it, right? You got to try to implement what we just taught you. So in this case, who's your ideal client? So everybody's going to give this a go. Then what's going to happen is now we're going to pull you back in the big room again, and now we go around the table. Right, and we start off with the first person. Okay, Joe, what do you do? Sorry, Joe, who's your ideal client? And then Joe will tell you. Okay, cool. Sue, who's yours? George? And we go around the table and everybody tells us who their ideal client is, right? Guess what we just achieved? Okay. Number one, we've got you one step closer to the powerful LinkedIn profile, right? So that you can build that authority profile, so that you've got the authority positioning, right? And the referability. Right? Very, very important. Authority positioning for when people get to your profile, they say, oh, yeah, this person's it. I can deal with them. Referability is one of your partners can easily say, oh, why don't you check their LinkedIn profile? Because they know that it's going to great, right? Very, very important. That's the first thing. The next thing we've done is each of us have learned an important fact. All of us now know who the ideal client is for all of our potential strategic partners. So we've learned a very, very important fact about them. And in that process, we've started to build these I like to call them lifelong relationships with strategic partners, right? So my primary goal, funnily enough, with this program is I want you guys to gel with each other as soon as possible. Because the quicker you know, like, and trust each other, right, the more you guys will actually go ahead and start pushing referrals to each other. So this is very important. I don't want this to take forever, right? And so this process is designed to get everybody on the same page, to get your oaks positioned, and to get you to the point where you're happy to make those referrals very, very quickly, right? So we're trying to narrow the cycle. And once you've done this, right, what's going to happen is that you'll be in a situation where you'll probably have referral partners for life, and you'll probably have, you'll end up, if you find the right people and you gel, you'll literally get clients for life. Okay, so program's got 3 objectives, right? Just to summarize: create a LinkedIn profile to create that authority profile, make you referable. Implement that simple 3-step system so you can legitimately book 1 to 2 appointments a week. And of course, build a network of trusted strategic partners. Okay, so this is lifetime referral stuff. That's the goal here. So looking at the profile, we want to eliminate social stupidity. Guys, I promise you that thing is a thing, okay? If you learn nothing else today, go fix your profile. It's costing you clients if it's bad. We're going to build your authority to make you the only option in your space. And then obviously you'll become referable, as we said. Then we've got the 3-step system to generate clients. Literally, you should be able to get a couple of appointments a week. And it shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes a day. Okay? And it won't even be 5 days a week that you're doing it. So it's really a simple process. You saw it earlier. That's what it is. And then, of course, the idea is to firstly meet, right, other strategic partners, right? And look, you're not going to gel with everybody you see. That's not how life works, right? That's why we're going to have a few people, and you're going to get an opportunity to chat to people. Now, there's a very good chance that when you get to the end of this, there's 2 or 3 people that you've really resonated with. Well, guess what? You just got 2 or 3 partners for life. Like, I promise you, that changes your life. That changes your business if you get this right. Okay. So we're accelerating this process to build those lifelong relationships. Now, the program, which I'll introduce to you in a second, it's 12 weeks, right? Where we go through all of this. For those of you that get to the end, right, because there's an incentive here, I want to give you some other cool stuff. I've got a course that I've created that I sell for $99. So if you just want to buy it, let me know. I'll send you the link. But if you want it for free, come and spend the time with us, put some effort in. And it takes you through the profile from top to bottom, like every single thing you can imagine. Right? So the 4 hours of training, it's got worksheets, templates, it's got everything. But we will give that to you for free if you complete the course with us. Right? The other thing that we will give you is, I've shown you the very simple system. We'll do a webinar for you showing you how to increase that to 5+ appointments a week. Right? So we'll show you what the full system looks like. So we'll do a webinar for you just on that. And then the last thing is that this is kind of a graduation program, right? So for those of you that get to the end of this, we will then invite you to the Strategic Partner Network Club. That's going to be something a little bit different, where there will be exclusivity there. So like, there could be multiple accountants, financial advisors, etc. in the first one, because the whole process is to see who gets to the end, right? It's like, if you fade out after 6 sessions, there's no way you're coming into the big club, because you don't have the stomach for it. You're not the right person. So getting you through the 12 weeks is kind of paying your dues and being part of the apprenticeship. And then we find the people that gel, and then we put them into a different program, right? And then we do some other cool stuff with them, which you'll hear about a little bit later on. That's next level stuff. So for those of you that get through and take this really seriously and have the right attitude, we want you in this next club, and that's where we're going to take you to the next level. Now, before I do this, what I want to do is I want to do another poll, right? So where's my... So I want to do another poll, and it's the same poll as before, right? I'll ask you the same question. So things have changed a little bit. Before you answer this question, what I want to say to you is this. I want you to think about this. You've been through the program, you've got results, you now know who I am, you've booked a few meetings, you're in a situation where you've got some strategic partners. Under those circumstances, what is your answer now? Okay. I'll give you just a moment or two to fill that out. Okay, so the results now of the poll, as you can see, have changed dramatically from where they were before, right? Where the majority had said no. Now the minority have said no. There's still a bunch of you on the fence, and most of you are saying yes. Okay, why? Ask yourself that question, why? Okay, there's a lot of reasons, and that it's probably inherent in what happened on the program. By the way, I'm not going to hold any of you to that. I just needed you to do the poll and to actually be the people on the course so that you could see in real life how this stuff actually works and how it affects people, right? Because when people start off and they don't know you, it's a problem, right? So many more of you have said you would do it now. Why? Because you spend an hour with me and you've got a bit of a sense that maybe I know what I'm talking about. Like, that's the reason, right? Imagine if you spend 12 weeks with me or 12 weeks with other people when you get to know them, because now we're not only going to talk business, by the way. We're going to talk all sorts of other interesting things, right? We're really going to get to know each other. Right. So hopefully, that has been an amazing experience for you, and you've seen what that entails. Now, I want to go into questions. I'm going to start off and answer a few, and then at this point in time, you guys can just bomb some questions into the chat there. I'll go through the chat in a minute. So the first question is, why is this program free? Right, because I told you cannot pay me money for this, and it's 100% true. The first reason is that it's a beta program, right? Which means I have not done this program before. Anytime I create something new, I want to test it. So you kind of like guinea pigs, okay? If I'm honest, right? So you can't take money from guinea pigs. Like, it's in the law, it's in the constitution. You can't take money from guinea pigs. So I can't take your money. But that's going to be quite cool. So why beta program so nice is that we kind of all understand where we're at, and all of us are going to make suggestions on how to make this better. Because make no mistake, I am going to charge money for this, big money and proper money in the future. The value of this is unbelievable, right? So we're wanting to prove some content here, and concept, and eventually I will actually charge for this. But I want out of this exactly what I've just promised you. Like, I want referrals from you guys, right? All those things that I was telling you, I want them. And if we get all the results that we know we are, I want you to say something nice and give me a testimonial, right? Why? So that I can use that when I actually go and sell this for money and say, look, these people went through it, and here are all the wonderful things that they said about me and about this program, right? That's what we want to do. So that is question number one, right? So that's actually what it's worth, just by the way. In case you're thinking that, I don't know, it's probably got about a 16 grand value, real value. I'd probably launch it at about 5. But you guys are getting it free because you are guinea pigs, and I'm legally not allowed to charge guinea pigs for the course, right? But as you can see, everything that I've kind of promised you, everything is there. So you've got the profile that we're going to do. We do the system. We build up those strategic partnerships. You've got all the bonuses, everything in there worth 16 grand. You're getting it for free. So the message here, right? I don't want to just gloss over this, because as you'll see in a minute, there's a bit of commitment. If you start this thing, I want you to finish it. I also want you to not look at it and say, it's free, I don't need to come. No, dudes, this thing's worth 16 grand. Like, I teach this stuff to people, and they pay me a lot of money every month to do this. You are getting this as part of this. So that said, right, let me actually get to the next question about this. Like, what is required from you? Okay. There are some things that I want from you. If you come, there's going to be, I say 12 sessions, but being a pilot, it might change. I've designed it to be 12. And why have I designed it to be 12? Because 12 is like the minimum I can get everything I need to. And I do need time for you to bond with each other. That's the whole point, right? Is that we do need to get to know one another. So that's what that is all about. Then, so because of that, I want you to come to 10 of the 12. Like, I know life's going to get in the way, but like, I need you to put this thing on your calendar and to say, nothing's getting in the way of this. This thing is going to change my business. This is the most important thing I'm doing. And it's not only important for you, right? Like, your commitment is not to me only. It's to the other people that get on board with you. Like, imagine that things are going well and you decide, stuff this, I'm bailing after 6 weeks. like you've just heard however many other partners are on here with you. That is not cool, right? So you get on this. This is a commitment to all of us. That's why this is serious stuff, right? You got to do this. If you don't, you're not getting the bonuses, right? Obviously, I can't hold a gun to your head, but I'm telling you, if this is not for you, and you don't feel that you can commit to that, don't sign up for this program. You're not the right person, and that's just how it is. Right? You can see what we're trying to do. It's very, very specific, in terms of the stuff that we're trying to do. Okay, so let me just put my camera off for a second because I'm in the way there. So as you can see, there's a URL at the bottom there, and I'll pop it into the chat for you in just a minute. And it's LRNA, the LinkedIn Referral Network Accelerator registration. So regularclients.com, which is my website /LRNA registration. Okay, I'll pop that in, as I say, in just a second. I'll give you the actual link. Okay, just getting back to the Prezio. Third question, right? When is it going to be? So I'm saying it's proposed at this point in time for every Wednesday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. right? Starting on the 9th of so next week. Now I say that I'm not 100% sure, right? Because I want to see how many people say they want in. Remember when I explained to you the roundtable experience of how we do it? Like, it's not going to make sense to have 60 people on one session. So if we get a lot of people, I will create a second session. I will do 2 or 3 of these rather than try and put 60 people in one, because that way we don't get the full effect of that round table. So I need to see who wants to be in. So all you need to do is go to regularclients.com there /LRNA-registration, and I will give you a link in a minute. I'll put it in the chat. Sign up, and then I will get back to all of you. So if all goes well and there's no issues, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be Wednesdays starting next week, 3:30 to 5, and we might go on after that, but like, your commitment is only for that. There might be discretionary after that if you want to network more and do stuff like that, but that's really going to be the goal there. And then a really interesting question that you might have is, am I required to give referrals? And the answer might surprise you, and the answer is no, you're not. That's weird, James. You just invited us to a program and spend all day talking about referrals, but we're not required to give them. No. And you know why? Because you got to earn a referral. You don't just get given it. You don't get given it because you commit to a 12-week program or because you pay a membership to be part of something. You get it because you gel with somebody, you two hit it off, you have clients that are the same, you know, like, and trust each other, you treat everybody around you and each other's clients with the respect and the values that they deserve. When that happens, then the people will automatically refer, right? So the goal of this is to try to accelerate that process to get you into that position, right? But you are not required to on this program, right? So if that's what you're thinking, it's not one of those, right? However, I want you to refer, okay? But I want you to refer because that referral is earned. And if that referral is earned, guess what? Then it becomes a lifetime partner and referrals will be forever. That's what we're trying to get to here. All right. So I think that is all. Any questions that you guys might have? There are my contact details, which I'll leave on the screen for just a little bit. If you want to chat to me for any reason about this program, or you want to talk about some other stuff in terms of how I might be able to help you, you can go there, regularclients.com/chat. Okay. I seem to recall looking at everybody that had registered, at least 95% of you are first level connections already. So you're all connections of mine. Just send me a message as well if you want in. So that's going to be important if you could do that. Feel free to chat to me, and yeah, if you want to register, please do that. And do me a favor, even though you're going to register, why don't you just in LinkedIn, or you can do it in the chat, but preferably in LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn and just send me a message. Hey, I was on the webinar. It was cool. I'm in, right? I want you to do that. And then let me just see here. Where is this thing? Right. Let me pop in the link. Hello. Oh, there we go. So hopefully the link should now be in you should be able to just click a button which will take you to the registration page. There's nothing exciting on that page. It's like 6 things. It's like your name, your phone number, your email, your LinkedIn profile, and what industry you're in. Like, that's it. I just need to know who that is. And then I will take that information and try to put the best sequence together for us. Okay, let me pop over to the chat and see what is happening there. All right, so we've got lots of people are in. I'm signing up. Yvonne's in, Tabili's in, Shada's in, Darwin's is happy, Kieran's happy. Okay, so lots of you. Will we be able to get a copy of this webinar emailed? Yes, there will. So there will be a there will be a replay of this. Oh, you know what? I actually also forgot to tell you. Sorry, I know that's a little bit silly of me. For those of you that are on the webinar, there is also the opportunity, if you want it, to invite other people onto the webinar. Right. So as I've said to you, my network consists mostly of accountants, financial advisors, and attorneys. But if you work with particularly good service providers that you think this might be a good fit for, we're very happy to expand that. So if you just mail me or just send me a message on LinkedIn, I'm actually quite happy because, again, why? Because it's referral, right? It's coming from somebody who's part of the program. So it's coming from a good source. It's not just any old person pitching up. So that's why this is important. So if any of you want to bring any of your clients, your friends, your colleagues with, because you think that they would be an ideal fit. So essentially they're in the B2B space, and LinkedIn is a good place for them. Yeah, just let me know, and we'll certainly do something for you there. Let's see what else have we got. Okay, that's fine. Okay, everybody else was a little bit earlier. Do you guys have any more questions? We don't see the link in the chat. Really? Did the link not get into the chat? Can you guys just let me know any whether it is in fact in the chat? Should be. Let me just see. Okay, hang on. Let's try that. There we go. All right. Hopefully the link is in the chat now. Thank you for that, for just letting me know that something was a little bit amiss there. Okay. Hopefully the link's there now. All right, cool. There's a link there now. Sorry, I've just got a few. Virgil says no, but I've just sent it in. All right, let's do plan B. Let's just, if the link didn't come, I will actually just type I'll just type the link in. Okay, there's the link. Let's see if I can do a sticky message also. I'll pop this in a sticky message. I'll put the link in there. All right, not sure why the actual offer didn't show, but anyway, there we go. All right, so it's no now. All right, cool, excellent. Thank you everybody for letting me know. All right, guys, I've pretty much said everything that I need to tell you. Are there any questions from anybody else? Hopefully I've covered them all. If I haven't, this is your, well, I was gonna say it's your last chance to ask, but of course you can get hold of me individually as well. But for now, if you've got anything, can I answer them now? Have I covered everything? Of course, I'll give you feedback on your profiles. There's a question there. That's going to be a big part of it. So we'll kind of do it before and after. So as we build through it, you'll see each week as we put it together, you'll end up with something at the end. Will this be an online course? Yeah, essentially, but it's going to be presented live, because the whole point is that we are building relationships with people. So I mean, ultimately, I can record it and create a course, but it doesn't. That part doesn't build. That just builds the LinkedIn piece, right? It doesn't build the relationship part, which is something that's really critical for us. So that one says, thank you. A great webinar. Much appreciated. Will weekly meetings be in person or virtual? Virtual, guys. Everything is on Zoom. So not like this, which is a webinar where we can't speak to each other. This will be a normal Zoom meeting where we're all in the room together. You get the 10 or 12 or 20 people up on the screen, because this is a the opportunity for us to communicate with each other. So yeah, it's all virtual. So that's why I said to you, it kind of makes sense, right, to be looking for people that are selling to other businesses and whose clients are on LinkedIn. And obviously the fact that you're on LinkedIn, because that is going to be the central theme of us building this out. All right, cool. Deal says fantastic. Thank you very much. All signed up. Good to hear. All right. So if there's no more questions, let me actually just see if there were any in the Q&A. Hang on. Sorry, there are a few more questions here. Let me just go through them. How do you prevent people from stealing our current clients? People are not going to be able to steal your clients unless you refer them, because the whole process is, as we said, it's not like you having to bring your clients to the process. You're going through a process. You're actually in a room with your current clients. Sorry, your current potential, should we say, partners. And the whole point is for you to get to know each other. And that's why I said to you, look, it's not going to be a situation of where you have to refer. So you're not necessarily having to expose your clients to anybody until you are comfortable, and then you'll do that via a personal referral to the person. It's not like you bring the referral to the group. That's not the game plan here. It's one-on-one stuff, right? Would you give us feedback on profiles? Yeah, we've answered that. Will this work for a life coach? Absolutely. 120,000% at 12. Adil says all the meetings be live or in person. We've covered that, and then okay, the link. So we've sorted that out. Let me get back into the normal chat and just see. I think we're all good. Everybody seems to be thanks, and we're out of here. I think that's where we're at. So last chance for questions. Otherwise, yep, let's all be out of here. What do you guys say? How are we doing there? Let me just see here in the chat. Yeah, I think we are pretty good to go. All right, guys. What I'll do is I will, as I leave the webinar, I'm going to redirect you to the actual page. So even if you haven't clicked the link by now, you should end up on that page where all the details are. So thanks, appreciate it, and yeah, looking forward to seeing those of you actually in the program. All right, chat to you guys later. Just for now.